Okay, I think I got everything. It's my life day. I'm making it a joyous event, and I have cleaned up the whole gardening area, except for this. So everybody's mowing. You can hear. I have my sorrel out there, and I put in those planters that's in front of it. They're what this used to be, but Mr. updated it. So I told him not to throw away that L planter because I wanted to put it in front of those. So I did. But I put my violas in front of them and the rabbits kept eating them. So I had to figure out something to put up front. In front of that tree planter, I decided to go with onions because duh, right? Onions. And what I should have done instead of onions here, these are the big red onions. This year, instead of going with the bunching green onions, because you know I use the tops here. Instead of going with just bunching green onions, I decided, well, why not just do red onions? Because then I can get actual onions out the deal at the end of the season, potentially, right? Since I do use the red onions as much as I use green tops. So, boom, 2 for 1. I'll have I'll have green onions to use throughout the season from these tops, and the actual red onion bulb to use once they're ready to harvest. So yeah, I got red onions in front of this tree planter, and in this tree planter, instead of burgundy okra this year, I'm doing Jamaican sorrel, which is their direct cousin, I hear. So that should be easy for me. I mean, well, it should be easy for anybody because okra don't take a rocket scientist, girl. Matter of fact, if you eat it, and most of us don't, but if you eat it, I highly recommend growing it as one of your first vegetable crops. Okay. But don't get impatient. They don't like the cold. So if you put a seed in, it's not gonna pop until it knows for sure it's gonna have all warm, ready to nurture it. Cucumber still has not popped up. There's a little puddle. Once it's had enough water, there's a little puddle, like so. I like to bring it. I like to bring this over here a little bit. Make sure I get that pot wet as well. So I'm gonna leave that for a few minutes while I continue talking. So as I was saying, yeah, I have red onion bulbs here on the sides. Next year I'm just gonna have violas everywhere for decoration for everything because I'm in love with them. They're my new plant, girl, and y'all know we thought we weren't gonna ever find a flower that we all agree on in this household, but violas. And Mr. can't say nothing if he gets sick of them because he's the one that brought them here. I didn't have nothing to do with it. He started that shit. And then I fucked around and found out that they were edible and they don't taste terrible. And the whole deadheading process is actually a blessing. Ooh, don't get me started. I'm gonna do a video. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. So yeah, I'm doing my sorrel, and I'm doing my Jamaican sorrel in the actual tree planter there, and those are red onion bulbs down there. So in this planter, I have 2 onion bulbs, as you can see. In the middle, because that's what this is primarily for, is the mico-tom tomato. Cucumber bed, if you know, you know. But I've added to it this new trellis that I have created. And it's made of a combination of a funeral wreath stand and a couple of bamboo sticks. I'll detail that later as well. First things first, I'm working with a lot of new black gardeners, and I want to be very attentive to their beginners needs. So we'll get to that when we get to that. And this is just a planter I'm using to start some things that still are not popping up. Here I have a planter, and it just simply has 3 because I wanted to try an experiment because I saw a woman with a garden on her balcony, and in a planter she had 3 spinach, and these spinach were the healthiest, greenest, fullest leaves I have ever seen in my life on a spinach plant. And God damn it, I want to grow spinach like that because spinach is finicky, does not like warmth, does not like heat, and y'all know we only have a short window to get some really good spinach, and I want spinach like hers. I was a little jealous, so I'm giving it a shot. All these are starts that haven't quite quieted yet, so I won't waste time going through those because that'll make this a longer than necessary video. In this planter I have 2 tiny Tim tomatoes. Those are dwarf tomatoes that should it just gonna spray that injection right down here on me. They're gonna make me get that thing. Anyway, yeah, these are 2 tiny Tims. Here's my patio tomato. Excellent for containers. So excellent that I learned about it, got it, and I have been growing it every year since. Every year since. Much like the mico-toms, which are known to be a dwarf variety, a cherry tomato. But it turns out that I was able to train the mico-tom to do something that it is not known to do. I will go through that in another video as well, at the risk of making this one unnecessarily longer than it need be. Here in the back, I still have 2 of the old school bunch of tomatoes, just 2, this one and this one. You can tell by how much thinner they are than the other ones. Again, this one and this one. The rest of these are, you guessed it, 4 red onions. So anyway, over here, this bok choy is being great. And what's crazy about that is it started being great when it got warm. And bok choy is a cold crop, so go figure that. I figure it'll get really weird over the next couple of days just because it's going to be in the 70s and 80s. And they're not about that life, much like spinach. And I have these, all these new little baby spinach coming along. And I don't think they're going to make it. I don't think they're going to make it. I'm trying to keep my lettuce greens in this bed here because in the new brick bed, I'm going to have green vegetables out there that need full sun. So in this bed, I chose to put things like lettuce and bok choy, onions, things that don't necessarily need full sun. And I know what you're saying. You're saying, yeah, Indigo, what you got? You got all your damn tomatoes up here. All your damn tomatoes and your cucumbers. You're right. That's all I got to say about that. But in keeping it grimy, I want to be able to keep an eye on these new tomato varieties that I'm growing this year for the first time in my blackety black garden. I have repotted my mother verbena, and I say mother because I have 4 more of her going in the brick bed. And the reason why I want most of one, I wanted to have a little verbena orchard this year. I'm not even kidding. But I wanted to keep those in that brick bed because, like I said, I want the brick bed to be everything that needs full sun. And something about the verbena is it attracts whiteflies, and that's not good for your plants. As much as I love verbena, and as much as I want a whole orchard full of them, I need to have said whole full orchard away from my deck in the house. And I can do that now in said brick bed. This is a black cherry. This black, look, let me tell you, when I tell you this black cherry plant is so healthy. And quite frankly, so is the indigo. You can look at it here. Very dark, rich, dark green leaves. Oh, so nice. And these are cherry tomatoes, so I expect some plump, juicy bitches off of that. Especially the way it did inside. This is actually a cutting. This is actually a baby from the Indigo Rose review that I showed you. And the ones that actually gave me fruit before I even brought them outside. So this actually finally rooted. It took a long time for it to root though, but it did, as you can see. And I did that on purpose. I didn't plant another seed of it. And because the reason why I did that on purpose is because I wanted to see if I'm going to be able to control the height on it. I want to see if I can keep it from getting too sprawly, because it was healthy. It was reaching everywhere. And if it did that indoors, I just don't even know what we're in for this season. So whatever happens, keep in mind that this is from a cutting. So it probably would have been even more rambunctious. Okay, so like I was saying, this is black cherry. This is the other cherry tomato, except it actually gets the name black cherry. This is indigo rose. Black cherry. This is Cher, and this is Indy. I don't want to confuse y'all, so I usually don't call them by their names. But they are all names. Cher and Indy. I was going to name her India, but I don't want there to be any political triggers in reference to. There is a broken bird egg over there, so they better not come for me. I didn't get your baby. There's not much over here, so we didn't go. That's why we didn't come up here. The callaloo is not popping. Cher is, because that's what she does apparently. We gonna learn. She gonna show us this season. Welcome to the family, girl. If you can be confused for one of my vegetables, you're too close to my babies. So, yeah. 1, 2, and 3. I'm trying 1. Oh, okay. And you trying me. And 1 is trying me. See what you did there. Bitch ass weed. Unless you're a superfood. You're one of the superfoods they've been lying to us about, that is. But yeah. So 1 there, 1 here, and 1 coming up the middle of this trellis. This is a trellis. I don't trust spiders not to get me over here. But yeah, I made a trellis like I did for my cucumbers. And this is for snow peas. Again, a cold crop. But did they pop when it was cold out here, when it was supposed to be their season? Look at the ground. Do you see any greenery other than my 3 bell peppers? No, you don't. So they didn't do shit. I planted new ones though last week, so we're gonna see. Of these beans, how many popped? 1, 1, 2, 3. There was space for 4 other damn beans. Just wow, it did. But whatever, it's whatever. Brick bed, I have these rows, these 2 rows, they're all green beans. In the back I have verbena. Things that haven't popped up are, this should be beautiful in another month and a half. Beautiful. Okay, there we go. Everything has its place. Everything's all nice and in order. This this packaging is still on here because I told Mister to leave it on there because it, like I said, it had rained and it has since rained a couple of more times. This thing still is like it has not been moistened, and that fascinates me. So I told him to leave it on there. But yeah. pretty everything is going to be amazing. Not as much greenery as there will be, but it is beautiful all the same. Because I know what it's going to look like in a month. And here's my mint. Two different kinds of the regular peppermint. Two different strains of the regular peppermint. Well, my thing was I didn't care about it being in the same pot with the regular mint, because at worst it would make the regular mint would make the sweet mint more potent, because the sweet mint was a little on the mild side. So I put them in the same pot on purpose. Hopefully they will hybridize and inspire each other to be their greatest version of themselves. But yeah. So meanwhile, look how beautiful. This is a little bunch of the violas that I saw pop back up. So when these flowers bloom on this thing, and this is a centerpiece for their table, it's gonna be so pretty. It's gonna be so pretty. Don't let me put the umbrella up. You see my little break bed back there in the background. See my little corner planter. That's good. Because I'm bad at speech.